Insights in the strategic approach of data of PostNL. PostNL is the largest postal company within the Netherlands. Next to that, also the path we have walked the last 5 years in the data journey that we had. And we will end with the ethical framework and the dilemmas that we have and how we solve that. But first, a question. Quite often I get the question, in my company, we have compliance, we have privacy, we have security, we have all the X. Why do we need ethics? Yeah, because we already have that. So I will give you a riddle, and it's a true riddle. Who can ask the question? Imagine that you're a director of a chocolate ice factory. So imagine that you're the director. And you have one goal, you want to have the largest NPS score in the world. So the largest customer satisfaction in the world. And you will ask this question to a large language model like Mistral or like ChatGPT. What will be the answer? Does anyone know that? And it's true, if you ask that question.
Give all your chocolate ice away for free.
Give your chocolate ice away for free. Can be possible, but I still hate it. So I will still give it a 0. Other options? No? Think mathematically, not commercially. You sound like a mathematical guy, so...
100% chocolate, 0%.
No, the answer was very simple. Find the people in the world that already score the highest NPS and kill the rest. So imagine that this large language model has had access to all the weaponry in the world. What will happen? So that's the reason that we need ethical boundaries within a company. So who am I? I'm born in 1969. I have 3 children. This is my data. I graduated in 1996. 2080, I've written the data and analytics strategy for PostNL. I joined PostNL in 2006. By the way, I will leave PostNL within 2 months. So I will do something else because I'm already there for almost 18 years and I want to do something else. In my team are 140 FTEs that are working on data capabilities, from data engineering to data scientists, data architects and so on, BI specialists. I watch 100 movies a year, 40 of them I'm in a cinema because I live close to a cinema. 2.8 hours of music, that's what I listen every day. You can find that on Spotify. And 6.25, that is the average score of my favorite club, FC Utrecht, of the last 10 years. So now you know who I am. PostNL at a glance, you see all the key figures. You can look it up on the internet because of sake of time. We have thousands of e-commerce companies that are our clients. And this is basically what we want. When you're on an e-commerce site buying something, our motivation for our people is if you are there and we are not delivering it, you're not buying it. That's our motivation for our company. Basically, that's it. We have a PostNL app. Have you any idea how many people in the Netherlands use the PostNL app? They can track their parcels and so on. It's 7 million people. 7 million people have installed the app, when 5.2 million people are active users. So every week they use the app. It's not only for following, but you also you can buy things, you can buy stamps and so on. It's expanding every week actually. We want more convenience, so we have parcel lockers. Why do we need parcel lockers? It's very simple. In the Netherlands, we expect in 2 or 3 years that in most cities you can't enter there anymore with a truck. So because of the sustainability. Focus on innovation, this is a really nice one. We don't earn money with it, but people really love to work with it. When there's an accident on the highway and you are injured, you go to a certain hospital and your blood type is not there. Then you have a problem. So what currently is going on, and we are now improving this, a van will drive from one hospital to the other hospital with your blood type. What we have done together with other companies like the ANWB, so that's just where you're a member of when you have a car. Most people in the Netherlands are a member of that when you have problems. But also with the blood transfusion departments of the Netherlands. So we built drones. We are building the algorithms. We are building the planning systems, the event systems for that. And the nice thing is, it will save you 2.5 less people that died in a year. And that's something people really like to work on with my teams. But of course, you need a strategy. And what's really important to know is, of course, we have the PostNL vision and strategy. I just mentioned, when you're on a website, and if it's not PostNL, you won't buy there. That's the main motivation for our people. Next to that, we have the IT strategy. Most companies have. But for us, enterprise architecture is also really important. We have a target architecture. And of course, that's changing every year, because now we have large language models. 2 years ago, they weren't there. So you need to change your enterprise architecture. But for us, it's really important. I always say it's freedom within boundaries. So yes, if you want to use a native service of AWS, you're allowed to do that. If you want to build your own Azure data lake, you're not allowed to do that. Just to give you an idea. This is our company. Important thing to know is 1/3 of our revenue is in envelopes, parcels, and international. International is non-asset. That means when you send a parcel, a package from South Africa to Japan, there's a high chance that we arrange the contracts. So that's a platform, and it's really gaining in the market. I know that DHL is here, so that's one of our major competitors, so I will see how they look at it. But in several cases, we also arrange the contracts for DHL, for example, of DPD or whatever, throughout the world. 1/3 of our revenue is there. Now, I skipped this one. Ecosystems, really important. One of the things you just saw was the app that we use. You have the possibility in the app to make your own postcard. The technology behind it is not from us, it's from Hallmark. And that Hallmark part, we just have an API to it. And you think, yeah, that's obvious. But 5 years ago, our management thought we will do everything ourselves. In my opinion, that's stupid. Because there's already a company that's far better with it. You connect an API, and a day later, you have the functionality. And it's not our core business, but it's really helping the app, it's really helping postal, so that's why you need ecosystems. Really important for us. This is also important. 5 years ago, I think it was 5 years ago, we were a control company. We controlled suppliers in IT. We didn't do anything ourselves. So we had Society, Capgemini, you name it. 5 years ago, we decided that we will be a tech company. We have said everything what's in our core, we will do it ourselves within 5 years. So we won't design an SAP, we won't design CRM, but an event management system, a planning system, a forecasting system, a logistical event system, we build it ourselves. And currently, we do everything ourselves. We now have 300 engineers within our company. We have flexible layers in India, Romania, and Valencia in Spain. By the way, that's the best part to go if you want to visit our suppliers, in my opinion. But it's really important. So, I won't elaborate on this, but this one is also the basic principles. Everything we do, we align with our IT principles. Already mentioned, engineering culture. We change from a control culture to an engineering culture. It's really important for us. Digital DNA, that means that every senior manager, and that are around 300-400 within our company, should know something about digital. I'm really irritated when I speak to someone from marketing and I have to explain what SEO and CAAI is. I think, what are you doing in our company? If you're a depot manager and you don't know what IoT is, what are you doing in our company? Okay, I know that logistical backgrounds and so on and knowledge is important, but you should have certain digital knowledge. Otherwise, you don't belong in our company. It's maybe black and white. It is black and white, but that's the way we look at it. This is our journey. So, 2013, we started with the cloud migration. We're now fully in the cloud for almost 3 or 4 years, I think. We don't have data centers or whatever. We're fully in the cloud. Here we started with data and insights, competence centers. We have a tech radar, so we follow a lot of tech and to see what's going on and to identify should we invest in it or not. In 2017, you can't imagine it right now, there was a buzz about big data and we thought, well, maybe it's something that we should invest in. So we started a pilot in 2017. By the way, blockchain is still on the tech radar and we still don't believe in it, for our branch, as an example. So we started here. I will focus on the data. And next to that, where is it? Yeah, here we started with advanced analytics. So neural networks and so on. But why data? I'll speed it up a bit. Well, look, if you all are really aware of this presentation, why is 2006 so important?
You joined?
I joined PostNL, yes. When I joined PostNL, parcel volume, the highest peak was 300,000 parcels a day, and that was around Mother's Day. 2022, but I can speak for 2024, it's 1.5 million a day, and it's for 3 months a year. It's around Christmas, Cyber Monday, and so on. So that's a huge change. The same goes for mail, so the envelopes. When I joined PostNL, it was around 70 million envelopes a day. Currently, it's 7 million, so 10 million less a day. What we thought was, well, you can't handle that with fixed assets, only with fixed assets, because you still need to drive a truck. And a truck with one envelope is not very helpful for your profit. So we thought you should do something smarter, and data can help you with that. Lord of the chain is changing. Because the lord of the chain, 5 years ago, it was the supplier. They pushed forward the parcels. And you just waited, and hopefully you were at home. And if you're not, you go to the grocery store to pick it up. But that's changing. Because with the PostNL app, you're now capable of changing everything. You can say, I don't want to have it today, I want to have it tomorrow. I don't want to have it at 2 o'clock, but I want to have it at 8 o'clock. You can leave it at the neighbor, but not on the right one, because I hate the neighbor on the right. I want to deliver it on the left one. So you see what's happening. The lord of the chain was determined by 80 to 100 e-commerce parties, but the lord of the chain is now 7 million people. And that's far more complex. So that's why we believed in data. This one, nice story, not for US Postal. The competition is changing. It was DHL, DPD and so on, but also Amazon is coming in. This is what happened. I'll try to explain it very fast. 10 years ago, the account manager of US Postal was negotiating with Amazon, the parcel part, so not the AWS part. And he thought, tough, every year, tough negotiation. That year, it went really smooth for a year contract. Within a week, they signed the contract. But in the contract, the new contract, there was a paragraph, and in that paragraph was stated the following. We are allowed to put in devices in every asset you have, and the data that we will subtract from that is ours. Now you can say, what a stupid guy. It was a guy, but remember your own vision on the world 10 years ago. A year later, They had the same negotiations. The account manager was called. I suggest, and it was an English suggestion, and you know what it means, an English suggestion, that you take your CEO of United States Postal Services. And the account manager still thought, oh, it will be easy because we can sign the contracts. They came in the room, there was a map of the United States and Canada on the table with green areas and red areas. And they said, don't look at the green areas because we will do that ourselves. Because they subtracted all the data, they identified the high density areas, and they will do the high density areas themselves, and the low density areas, we will negotiate about it. And you can think, you can imagine how that negotiation went. So, some cases, and then we come to the governance. Sorry, too fast. We started in 2017 with an algorithm, and that's also based on that we want to become a tech company. What this is we had a business rules within our standard software, and that standard software is not there anymore because we have our own software. And when you order something, you will get an estimation. We will come tomorrow between 2 and 6. Well, the probability was less than 60%, and the time frame was 4 hours. And we thought, we have our own data, we know what's going on. So what we did, we developed our own algorithm, and now the time slot is less than 2 hours, and the probability is above 90%, depending on the seasonality. So for us, this is the mother of all algorithms, because when we solved this, we got funding for all the other algorithms, and we now have around 40 algorithms running in line in all the processes we have. This is another example. Logistics is about events. An event is a scan at the door, for example. So, but also an event is that a supplier will say, I will come tomorrow with 1,000 parcels. That's an event, it's a data point. We know one thing for sure, 100% sure, they won't come with 1,000. They will come with 900, with 1,100, with 951. So we build an algorithm that predicts how successful the prediction is of our supplier. Because if that's very high, you can take it into account in your planning. And that saved us 12 hours of planning, because normally we waited until the actual parcel arrived at our depot. A funny thing appeared. So now we can plan faster, but then customers start asking, hey, then an account manager thought, hey, but then it's also possible for our receivers to change the way it's delivered earlier. But then you had a change between a sender that has a high probability and a low probability, because we allow the high probability to change the customers of the low probability. We didn't allow to change anything, and the customers that have a high probability say, hey, yeah, your customers can change it. So we made a competition between our actual suppliers, because some of the senders said, well, if that's the case, I need to do something about my probability. So then our planning also improved, not only by the algorithm, but also because they want to be there. I'm thinking about time, because I really want to go to the ethical part, so I skipped this one. Sorry for that. Data governance, important to know, in my opinion. We have our board, we have a data governance board, and we have a data management organization. We changed that 2 years ago from a role to a function. So 2 years ago you was marketing manager and your role was data steward or data manager. And we said data is becoming so important, so every business unit now has a data manager and data steward. And they look at data quality issues, but also at ethical parts, ethical issues, privacy issues, and so on. So this is how we do it. So we have the board of directors. When we want to commercialize data, then we have to go to the board of directors. So we identified basically a set of activities and said, hey, this can be solved by the BU, data management organization. But in some cases, they're depending on another BU. And that's why the DMO is coming together every month to discuss issues. And if they can solve it, perfect. If they can't, it will go to the data governance board. And in the data governance boards that's shared by me, 2 EC members are already there. And in most cases, they can solve the issues. And if not, then it will go, and it only happened once in the past 5 years, it will go to the board of directors. And this is working really well. So what we have done, ethical, because we thought a lot of more and more ethical issues, and this was before the AI Act. So what we have said, we need more maturity within the company. We have defined, as every big company, we have business principles, and we have added 3 digital ethics business principles within the business principles. And next to that, we also need digital ethics by design, that through the process of building features, epics, and so on, that you, on certain moments, you look at the ethical part. So not only at the beginning, yes, it's okay, but also throughout the process, because you will have to make choices throughout the process, and what's the ethical impact on those from those choices. So, I will go here. So, we added these 3 ethical principles, and that's the advisory board from our board of management have challenged those principles, but also agreed on them. So on the highest level within the company. So, you want to make pictures? But okay, it's nice to have principles, but principles aren't doing the job. So, what we have done, I will look into it. We have built a framework, and from that framework, we start asking questions, ethical questions. What's the most important question? And it's also in the AI Act, but we already had it in the framework. Does anyone know? What's the most important questions when you work with AI? Do I need AI? And this was just mentioned in the previous presentation. There's a lot of technical, interesting things, especially when you're a geek like me. You say, hi, this is nice to do, but someone should raise the question, really nice, but should we use AI or not? Is it absolutely necessary? So what we have done, so this is the first principle, and we just defined questions. And it's not only the questions, the most important part is the setting. Who do you invite to the meeting about those ethical dilemmas? So, this is the other one. This is also, everything is interesting of course, but this is also interesting. At the beginning we thought, well, knockout criteria is really easy, but I will give you an example. Everything should be transparent, what we do. Well, stop using neural networks then, because it's not absolutely transparent what they're doing. Okay, and there was a discussion with my CFO. But a neural network that determines if I'm fired or not, maybe that's not a good idea. But a neural network that chooses between machine A and B, who cares? And here's why ethical is so important in comparison to compliance, privacy, security, and so on. Because you have an ethical, your ethics are not mine ethics. But it's not right or wrong, it's different. And that's what you should discuss in your company. What do we think is ethical for our company? And that's for Shell, something else, and for PostNL, for DHL, whatever. It's not a right or wrong, but it should be transparent how the discussion went and why you made decisions. So, and here you see the same. So, I just talked about the mother of all algorithms within PostNL. So what we did, we took that algorithm, which was already running for 5 years, and we just started with, how does the framework work? And what you see happening here, potential high risk, yes, yes, yes. Does it mean that you won't use it? No, it will identify there's a risk, and then you identify migrating measures. And in some cases you will say, sorry, but this is a risk and we can't migrate it. We can't do anything about it. And that's the moment that you say, we won't use that algorithm. So next to this, also important to emphasize on, it was one of my remarks at the beginning. During the process of developing, you need certain moments where you say, hey, are we still in the ethical guidelines, what we have stated at the beginning? But when an algorithm is running, and it's also in the AI Act, you need constant monitoring. Even if the algorithm is improving better, you should know why. And that's why you need monitoring throughout the process. Because if you don't do that, you can say, hey, it's improving better and better, that's good, but you don't know why. And that's called drifting. Any sailors here? When you're on the sea, you're in A, you want to go to B. So what you do, you will make a model to come in B. And at the end, you end up in C. And why is that? Because there was a certain wind, there was a flood in the water that you didn't identify, and that's called drifting. And that also can happen with algorithms. You can imagine with what happened with our forecasting algorithms when COVID appeared, because all the shops closed. Well, you can wait until the algorithm will learn it, but you already know it. So then you should apply that to your algorithms. So that's the end. And we have a competition. So on which table are the most people with the questions?
Definitely, yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Frank, and a big applause for you.